actually feel a lot better fighting him in not a closed hallway. I do hope the other one isn't here waiting for me. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm okay taking those things in the area, but that big guy... You gonna come over here? You know what? Fuck it. I don't care. I survived. That was an odd encounter. I guess those guys are set to chase you, because most other guys will not follow you up that hallway in the same way. Be wary of lizard. You'll also notice if you run down this hallway, one of these guys will spawn behind you. Another neat trap encounter. You can even see it with the heavy attacks, where the first heavy attack does 59, and the second one brings you up to like just 100, which shows that it's doing less damage. Be wary of lizard. Now what lizard might that be? Oh, is it those snakes that look like vines? Yes, it is. This is another neat, devious trap kind of enemy. They also take a buttload of damage. Holy shit. There we go. And it gives you the partisan, which I believe is like a spear hybrid kind of weapon. It's good. I quite like it. Yeah, it's sort of like very similar to the spear, but I believe... Wow, very similar to the spear. Yeah, I think it's just a slightly heavier version of the spear. Might upgrade a bit better than the spear. Stick with our sword for now. Anyway, if you're not a dingus and you actually follow all of these nice things over here, you can actually avoid pretty much every encounter in the forest. Like, none of the enemies will aggro until you get over to here. That's a really mean message that someone placed there, because you'll notice there are more snake vines. These are some weird-ass snakes. Trap. Oh, you're an ass, sir. Oh, come on, give me the item. An egg vermifuge. That's... sounds disgusting. Removes parasitic egg from body. That sort of just gives you chills. Ugh. Bitter sour chestnut. Removes parasitic egg from body. The egg bearers have been chosen to serve the flame of chaos, and the eggs symbolize this selfless choice. Naturally, these chestnuts are forbidden, but are allowed under special circumstances. So, these items talk about the flames of chaos, which we have had absolutely nothing to do with so far. But they do sort of, they like hint at something later in the game, and the dialogue is written in such an interesting way. Like, naturally, these chestnuts are forbidden, but are allowed under special circumstances. It just brings so many stories to your mind. That line alone. Like, there's so much writing in this game that is such good writing for games or for anything, and it's great, and I love it. Try ranged battle. That's, I guess, something. So yeah, this is the only fight in this area that you're really, like, forced into, and honestly, even this one can be totally avoided. Tranquil Walk of Peace. What about Tranquil Firebomb of Peace? Well, that was entirely useless. It is interesting that they give something like this a miracle. You know, you've seen... We've fought giant enemies before, and mostly they allow you to... Or mostly you're able to beat them if you have enough mobility. This sort of gives you a completely different type of encounter just because they gave the enemy a way to slow you down and force you to kind of fight on its terms. It's neat. I like it. Let's play Dark Souls. It's neat. I like it. Almost got them down now. You can really tell that this encounter was designed to take exactly long enough to be, like, mildly annoying without being, okay, maybe I should come here later annoying. Saint ahead. Yes, if you pay attention and chop down this vine over here, you can actually get a summon. Very snazzy summon. This is an NPC. You can tell NPCs because their names are always 2 words, and they're all, or 2 or more words, and they're always longer than you're allowed to make player names. So yeah, let's get Witch Beatrice, because she looks pretty fantastic. Love that hat. Phantom Witch Beatrice has been summoned. So, I haven't really talked about it yet because it hasn't really been relevant yet, but summons are basically a way to either summon other players or NPCs if you're, you know, if you don't want to summon other players and depend on them for whatever reason. And they allow you to get through areas more easily. As a downside, the bosses in areas, and spoilers, it's that. The bosses in areas will have, I think it's like 50% more health. Some amount more health for every phantom that you summon. So you can summon up to 2, but each one will actually make the boss more difficult. It's a pretty nice system, and I like it a lot. That said, let's take on the Moonlight Butterfly. This is an entirely optional encounter. We're actually about to get to the end of this, but it's a really neat one. It's completely different from most of the rest of the encounters that we've come up against so far, in that we can't really do much to it. Oh my god, I forgot. Wow, I forgot that attack is ridiculous. In that we can't really do much to it with our sword and board here, so Beatrice has actually got to be the one doing most of our damage for us here. Ooh, fine. I need some magic resistance here. Yeah, this 30% here just isn't cutting it, but I don't think any of the shields I have will have any more. Oh, your cute little wooden shield to do 40, but I don't think that helps. Do we have any armor with decent magic defense? Not really. Yeah, in fact, what we have on is the best. Oh dear. Alright, I guess I'll have to learn to roll. But yeah, doing this fight without having a magic person or someone with range to help you is a real pain in the butt, so I'm not gonna do it. Okay, let's try this again. So, this is a completely different fight from pretty much anything we've seen so far, in that we really can't attack the Moonlight Butterfly. Beatrice over here can, and we could if we had magic or arrows or anything like that, but, oh, God. I'm just gonna let her murder this thing. Because it hits like a truck, and I don't like it. Really, I'm perfectly okay with it spamming this attack, though, because, yeah, this thing is the one that's going to kill you. You really want to not be dead on this. Okay, when it does this, it's charging a super attack, but it's really your only chance to get good damage in on it. But once it starts glowing, get the fuck out of there. Because that would do a lot more damage to us than it did to Beatrice. That's it. Come on. I can only dodge these things for so long, Beatrice. Especially the death laser. Honestly, I find it easier to just tank that. Mainly because rolling can get you killed, and Beatrice is so close to murdering it. Like, oh my god, please. This is the sort of encounter that I'm not doing great. quote-unquote correctly, but I think I got it. I believe it's also pretty weak to lightning, so I also could have used my gold pine resin on it. But, whew! It's really interesting that they made that an optional boss, I think. Like, it's very different from what you'll see most other fights in the area. It's much more serene, much more peaceful. It's also a lovely little castle that this leads into. Surprisingly, this is actually a dead end. Our reward for murdering that beautiful butterfly with, I don't know, a lady choir singing in the background. It's a bunch of stairs, jeez. Is, a blacksmith, I guess. This is wonderfully set up. You have the... Basically, this is kind of the mirror of Andre, and this is even like Andre's sprite this has right here, or 3D model. But he's clutching something very tightly, very protectively, as if it was the most important thing in his life, and the thing that he died protecting above all else. A watchtower basement key, and a divine ember, and a homeward bone, which was definitely added later. Let's take a look. Here we go. Ember for blacksmith weapon ascension. Divine embers are property of the church and intended for divine blacksmiths. Ascends +5 standard weapon to divine weapon. Divine weapons are for undead hunting. Use against undead and the pawns of necromancers. So again, more story, more talk about a church and the divine. It always is kind of couched in that kind of thing. But there's also that sort of interesting side note about it being property of the church. And I like that. Or, sorry, no, not property, Jesus. Interesting side note about being intended for divine blacksmiths. Which is, interesting. Let's put it that way. Let's see. Watchtower basement key. Key to the basement of the watchtower in Undead Bird. The basement of the watchtower forms a stone cell. There are rumors of a hero turned hollow who was locked away by a dear friend. For his own good, of course. I love this. I love it so much. But we'll talk about it later. For now, I think I will actually take them up on their offer of homeward boning. That's poorly phrased, whatever. And since I've been going for an hour and a half, I believe I will take a break here. So, I hope you all enjoyed. We're not quite done with this part of the Darkroot Garden yet, but next time we will finish it up and probably take on that bell ringing thing and whatever happens to be standing in our way. So I'll see you next time for more Dark Souls.